Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett.
It's good to be here on Surprise Day.
Our technical director, Jonathan Voico.
I'm the surprise.
And the delightful Chris Carr is here.
I was well planned.
And I, of course, am your host. It's good to have you here. But most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our show part of your day. Here's how show's going to go. We got a whole hell of a lot of stuff lined up for you guys today that we're going to go through first. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or topic you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And as long as we deem it appropriate to be used on the show, we'll address it in the second part of the show. And by the way, this tip link, it's good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to our show on a podcast feed, either on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this video a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a topic or question. And if you send it in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on our next episode. Okay, guys. With that down, like I said, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, so we're going to get things started with this. One of my big pet peeves of moviegoing, and you know, moviegoing is my favorite thing in the world. I'm passionate about it because I love it. But one of my biggest pet peeves, of course, all of you know, is why do you tell me movie starts at 7 when you're lying? And it doesn't actually start till like 7:30.
Is that a real song?
It is. It's going to climb the charts. Somebody's going to make a dub remix of it. It's going to be incredible. So they lie. They lie to us all the time and they steal our time. Well, much like a lot of movie theater trends actually start overseas internationally. For example, international movie theaters have had pre-assigned seating long before they came here. And so eventually North American theaters gave into it. And I'm hoping the same trend is about to happen here. Because in the movie theater loving country of India, they love their cinema there. A movie theater has been sued for playing too many trailers, and for telling somebody, hey, pay us a movie ticket, and then you get to come see this movie at 7 o'clock, and the movie didn't start till 7:30. And guess what? They won. Not only did they win, but the courts enforced additional penalties and gave an order that they start advertising when the actual movie starts. Business Standard is reporting the following: penalty for ad delays. As a man sues PVR, that's a movie theater chain, for 65,000 rupees, or in North American dollars, a simple amount, about $750. But it's the precedent that gets set. Writes this: a 30-year-old man, and I'm not going to pronounce this right.
Bengaluru.
Wow, you nailed it.
I want to move there.
Has won 65,000 rupees in compensation after suing PVR Cinemas, Inox, and Book My Show, claiming they wasted 25 minutes of his time by running lengthy advertisements before a movie screening. The consumer court ruled in his favor, citing unfair trade practices and emphasizing that time is money. Abhishek, Mr. MR, the complainant, stated in 2023 he had booked 3 tickets to watch Sam Bahadur at 4:05 p.m. However, instead of starting on time, the movie began at 4:30 after a prolonged session of advertisements and trailers, causing nearly 30 minutes of delay.
And you know that movie's like 3 hours long because it's Bollywood.
Yeah, because it's one of those. In a strong verdict, the consumer court directed PVR Cinemas and Inbox to compensate for wasting his time: $50,000 for unfair trade practices, $5,000 for mental agony, $10,000 for legal expenses. Additionally, PVR, I lost my spot. I'm sorry. Additionally, PVR, where did it go? Yeah, PVR, Inox were fined 1,000 lakh, which is about $1,100 American, which must be deposited in a consumer welfare fund within 30 days. However, the court dismissed the case against Book My Show because they're just a ticket selling program. And they went on to give a rule that they start showing clear movie start times on their tickets. Now look, I've argued for a long time, this is a simple matter of consumer protection laws. There are laws when it comes to consumer rights and consumer protections that says, hey, companies that are taking people's money, there's certain things you're not allowed to do. You got to be above board. You got to be fair. And all this Yahoo has been asking is, why does consumer protection not apply to moviegoers? You pay for a product. You shouldn't be forced to watch 25 minutes, nor should you be forced to play the guessing game of what time can I actually show up at the movie theater. You bought the ticket. You're a consumer. You entered into a legally binding agreement with a company when you exchanged money for services. And I love, and granted, $750 for the guy, $1,100 fine, but it's the principle. The direction saying, listen, movie theaters, you got to start telling consumers when they're actually getting what they paid for. Why do some people think this is such a wild idea? What? You think you should get what you paid for? Yeah, I think I should get what I paid for. And I just think, like, imagine you bought a new iPhone. All right? It takes a while to set it up. It does. But imagine you open up the iPhone, and as you open the box, there's a screen on top saying, before you get to pick up your iPhone, you have to watch this 45-minute Steve Jobs documentary. That you would take a hammer and you would smash that thing and say, F you, that's not what I paid for. Give me my phone.
It'd be the new U2 album.
I was just going to say it.
That's a great
Get that off my phone. That united us. We need to have something like that happen again, honestly, to bring us together as a people.
So now look, again, this is a movie theater in India. But again, this gives me a lot of hope because a lot of the things that we now have in North American cinemas started off overseas theaters and coming here. I love this. It gives me great joy. Chris, you heard about this? I don't know. You're clearly, no one's as happy as I am.
No, but I knew
you
would be. I saw that topic and went,
so
he's
happy.
going to be so giddy about this lawsuit.
I'm surprised this wasn't our headline.
I know. Kid in a candy store today kind of energy. I love it for you. I think it makes sense, though. People are fed up with this. I know every time I go to the movie theaters, there is this kind of collective groan of another one. What is happening? The only person who enjoys all of the trailers that happen
Let me guess.
is my sweet, sweet husband.
There it is.
Yeah. Who suspends his disbelief and is like, oh, yeah, this one looks really good. Do you want to see this? And has a whole conversation with everybody.
He's like, oh, this is the one where the couples drink Coke and they race
Yeah,
cars.
I love this one. This one's great. Oh, this one's a stinker. He's just a big golden retriever, so I love it for him. For everyone else, no. It's the worst. It's terrible. And for those of you who have kids or plans or anything else that you want to get done during the day, it really is genuinely hard to schedule your life out of, okay, is it going to be 20 minutes today? Is it going to be 45 minutes today? What am I doing here? You know, if I want to go see a movie in the afternoon, as I want to do because I'm an old lady, I have to really figure out, okay, is that going to get in the way of my next coaching session that I'm supposed to do? Okay, is that going to give me enough time to get to that audition that I have later? I really, a lot of times, end up doing all of my movies at like 9 a.m. on a Sunday now because I know I don't have other stuff to do. And that's no way to live. Let me know the times.
Rob, what do you think about a court somewhere in the world finally saying, you are being stupid? Give
Well,
this man his money. I
My
don't know, what
first
do you think?
question, does PVR cinemas stand for Pabst View Ribbon?
Yes.
Just kidding.
Pabst View Ribbon.
They only have one beverage at the concession stand.
That's all they sell. No, look, we've talked about this a lot, and I think that for me, ads ruin. Like if I'm looking at a TV commercial and when they project it in the theater, it's usually like you're seeing sometimes low res commercials. They're not. It ruins the whole experience of the movie going experience. Should be sacred. I think it's almost like being in church, and it should be treated that way. And I think the diminishing when they started putting ads in theaters, they started diminishing the experience. For me, anyway.
100%.
And I agree. Like, I don't mind watching a pre-show, especially if they have like some behind-the-scenes footage or something. Hot host, somebody from TV, like, hi, welcome to 5 minutes of blah, blah, blah from this movie studio that, I don't care, whatever it is.
He gave up on his own analogy. I don't care.
Whatever. But as long, but like you said, why not just start that at 6:30 and the movie starts at 7?
Yep.
And
And
it starts at
advertise it
7.
as such.
Yeah,
Pre-show starts
not?
at 6:30, movie
That's all you
starts
have
at
to do.
7.
Just give me that, because I want to. But even ads, I just hate it because they're louder, they're shrill, they're not. They don't add to the cinema going experience. I understand it's strictly for monetary reasons for the theater chain. They're making extra money. I get it.
But not a lot.
Yeah,
That's the thing that kills me. It's like, it's not like it's the make or break. Here's the thing too. Somebody in the live chat, I lost who said it, so forgive me, said, well, movie theaters will argue that they're giving extra value to the consumer. Variety magazine ran a poll. I think we quoted it in Movie Trailers, A Love Story. Variety magazine ran a poll of, I can't remember, X number of movie theater goers, basically asked them, how much time of trailers is an acceptable amount of trailers? 0 to 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, blah, blah. The over 20 minutes one, which everyone is now, they're all over 20 minutes.
Right.
1%. 1% of moviegoers said that's acceptable. The vast, vast majority said anywhere between 0 and 10 minutes is acceptable. And anything beyond that is just not. So they would have a hard time arguing that they're giving value.
Yeah, the ArcLight showed 3 trailers.
That had a rule. 3 trailers, then the movie. Yeah.
You knew. I mean, the ArcLight was great. You'd go in there were 3 trailers, and they would curate the trailers.
Right.
So they would have they would be peripherally somehow adjacent to whatever movie you went to see. So if you were seeing a science fiction film, you get science fiction trailers. Horror, you get horror. Romance. I thought that was a great way to do it. And you already knew that going in. So it was fun. You knew you were going to get 3 trailers. And you were prepared for it, and it was a great thing. And then you'd walk out of and you wouldn't have forgotten them. Show me 6 trailers. I don't remember all 6.
Oh, you can't.
No, you can't.
But 3
Actually,
trailers.
remember Paramount CEO said that at CinemaCon.
Right.
The Paramount CEO got on stage and pleaded with movie theater owners, because that's what CinemaCon is for. Stop showing so many trailers, because by the time you get to the end of the trailer run, people don't even remember what trailers played. Look,
Sometimes I forget the movie I'm going to see.
Yeah, and people feel like so many times I was like, what movie am I here to see again?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So anyway, guys, you just know there is some law firm somewhere today, as a result of this happening in an international court, that is going to be preparing a class action lawsuit to bring against AMC, Regal, Cinema, and I'm all for it. Do it. Anyway, guys, whatever you think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? We're in 2025 now, which means that the fiscal year has gotten started for all the big major studios and content producers and stuff like that. And IndieWire put out an interesting article on basically how much each one of these studios has designated to spend and budgeted for content creation this year. The numbers are high, but the order of which might surprise you. Like, Jonathan, if I were to throw it to you, say like out of Amazon, Apple, Paramount, Netflix, Warner Brothers, Disney, NBC Universal, Fox, who would you say off the top of your head, if you haven't read the article, is going to spend the most on content this year?
I would say Disney. Just
Okay.
like right off the top, I would say Disney.
That's a good guess. Rob, did you have a guess?
That would have been my first guess. Disney. Maybe Universal.
Chris?
Yeah, probably Disney.
All right. So let's go through here and take a look at this chart. This is really interesting. We're going to look at, here's the studios spending their money and what order they come in. In last place is Apple, which isn't terribly surprising because they don't produce a lot of content. They produce some great content.
Is this for their television and movies?
Yes, their overall
total.
Yep, the overall entertainment total.
Okay.
So Apple this year in 2025 is going to spend $7.5 billion on content creation. Keep giving us Severance and bring us Monarch season 2.
They
and
are.
Severance season 3 and all the other good stuff they got.
They
All right.
wrapped Monarch season 2.
In second last place, it's kind of funny that the 2 most valuable companies are the ones that are in the bottom 2. Amazon, by the way, I'm all caught up now with Invincible. Invincible season 3 so far is much better than Invincible
It
season
picks
2.
up,
Because
yeah.
I almost gave up on Invincible. I thought season 2 was boring, to be honest with you.
It's all right.
Season 3 so far is pretty good. So anyway, Amazon, again, this is a combination of their movies and their TV thing. They're spending $9.1 billion. Next highest. Fox. Yes, guys, Fox is still a thing. They are still a thing away from Disney. Disney didn't get everything that belonged to Fox in the deal. Fox is still a thing. And this year, including their sports programming, they have dedicated $9.2 billion to content creation, which is a pittance compared to some of the higher ones up. Let's keep going here.
Pocket change.
Pocket change. Because after Fox, next up on the list is Paramount Global. With all the distress and whatever they've had, they are still firmly committed to producing a lot of content. And I'll tell you what, I have been on Paramount Plus more the last couple of months than I ever thought I would be. But they're creating some great stuff. I'm a big fan of King of Tulsa, or Tulsa King, I should say. I'm a big fan of all the Taylor Sheridan stuff, whether it's Mayor of Kingstown or it's the Yellowstone and all of its adjacent stuff. I'm loving Matlock. I love the new Dexter series. But anyway, they're committed still to spending a lot of money on creating content, and they're sitting at $15.2 billion.
Like that Starfleet Academy upcoming show.
That's right. I'm sure they're spending a good chunk of that is going towards that. All right. Next up, Netflix, which I honestly thought would be higher on the list.
Wow.
Considering it's, hello, Netflix, you're greenlit. Netflix is going to be spending proportionally not that much more than Paramount is on $18.6 billion. Now, that will also include their new branches in trying live sports. Obviously, they had the boxing circus idiot match. They now have got the Monday Night Raw. They have some NFL games. They're getting into that. Netflix is going to be spending $18.6 billion this year. But above them, there's still three spending more than Netflix. Warner Brothers is committed to spending $19.5 billion. Again, this is across television and movies, but with all their adjacent studios, they are making $19.5 billion, and I'm sure a portion of that is just dedicated to James Gunn and Peter Safran for making their stuff over at DC. Then we get into the top two. And the second biggest content spender this year is Disney at $23.4 billion.
Man,
Well done, us.
That's a
You're close.
lot of
Got
meatballs.
up there.
really is.
That's like $4 billion over Warner Brothers. Now remember, this
Thought you
also
were going to say
includes
4 billion meatballs.
Yeah, me too. I thought we were still on the
I was
meatball
like,
thing.
I mean, yeah,
I'm
that
so
probably
stuck
maps
on
out.
that includes things like ESPN, which is one of their things, right? And their large umbrella, but same is true of
ABC.
Warner Brothers and everything like that. But $23.4 billion they're spending on content, which means the biggest spender this year. Rob, you had mentioned them.
Man.
Universal.
NBC Universal spending $4 billion more than Disney, $27.1 billion in content. Again, that includes everything from NBC, their television stuff, Peacock, theatrical releases, their sporting stuff, but still $27.1 billion.
They have, they have to pay for those dinosaur trainers and keeping those animals
for the
in
Jurassic
cans and
movie.
stuff.
Does that include any of the marketing they're doing for their parks as well, though? Or is that
no, it
just,
does not.
Okay.
Yep, it's strict entertainment, not parks.
Okay.
But only their on-screen entertainment stuff
right.
for $27.1 billion. Yeah, because Universal
Expensive
World,
year for
they're
them.
putting up a lot of stuff over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, but this is content. This is their content spend. Some of these studios, their spending has gone up. Some of the studios have gone down by fraction of percentage points. But it's clear the arms race is still very much on for people to create content and stuff like that. Again, when I look at this list, it still kind of is interesting to me that by far the two companies that could buy and sell Fox, Paramount, Netflix, Warner Brothers, Disney, NBC Universal 4 times over, they're the ones spending the least.
That's what they're saving up for.
That's their strategy right now. So, Rob, it looks like content spends is not going to be skimped on this year. What do you think about about the list and about the overall dollar value?
Well, I mean, we've talked a lot about these streaming series, the streaming shows, the streamers. They need content. I mean, and you can't compete if you're not going to make content. I mean, Apple has I think Apple is one of the most elegant of all of the streamers. Their shows are even when their shows aren't that great, they're very highbrow.
And most of them are great.
Yeah, and most of them are great. And so, but they're not trying to compete on a grand scale because they don't have to. But if you are Universal, you've got NBC to deal with, you've got your movies to deal with, you've got whatever cable. There's just a lot going on, and you can't slow down. So this does not surprise me in the least that they're spending this much money. And if you think about it, I mean, if the average price of a studio movie is like 150 or 200 million dollars now, it's not that many movies.
That's
I mean,
exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, and with everything else they have to make, and TV shows as expensive as they are now, $10 million an episode, sometimes even more.
And more, a bigger chunks, as we noted going through this, a lot more of it is being dedicated to sports.
Yeah.
A lot of them getting in sports, not to mention, like with NBC Universal, don't forget we got the Olympics coming up that they're going to be spending on. Chris, what jumps out to you when you see these numbers and this list? And does anything surprise you?
Not really, honestly. Yeah, Disney and Universal being at the top makes the most sense to me because of how much content they put out, how much I see about that content as well. This all makes sense. And yeah, to Rob's point there, it's honestly a little surprising. I would anticipate more money being spent here.
Yeah, I would too, to be honest, but it's still a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about these numbers? I mean, that's a lot of money that's going to be spent on content this year. More than any of us could possibly watch. Does anything about the list surprise you? The order of it, how much money is being spent? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, Joseph Kosinski, director of Top Gun Maverick, who of course worked with Jerry Bruckheimer to bring Top Gun Maverick. Then the two of them got back together again for the new Brad Pitt F1 movie that's coming out there. I had to say, I'm starting to get kind of excited.
Oh, yeah.
about it. This is looking kind of and it feels like Top Gun Maverick in a race car, right? Well, now the two of them are getting together, apparently, according to a report in Deadline, to do a UFO discovery movie. Of course, UFOs are UAFs, whatever they're called.
UAPs.
UAPs.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
There we go. Are all the rage for all the TMZ stuff out there. Everybody wants to talk about UFOs again. It's a fad that happens every 20 years or so, I guess.
It's because they're real, man.
But we're talking about Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer want to make a movie about this whole phenomenon. Deadline says this: once a niche, easy to dismiss topic, UAPs, formerly known as UFOs, have moved from the fringes of conspiracy theories into mainstream discussion in recent years, largely due to declassified military footage and government acknowledgement. Part of this shift in perception came with 2017 reporting from the New York Times that revealed the existence of Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, a group at the Pentagon tasked with investigating UPAs. Now, it sounds like Jerry Bruckheimer and Joseph Kosinski are working with this government informant who came out a couple of years ago to say, to kind of spill the beans on a bunch of stuff. Listen, Jerry Bruckheimer is nothing if not a master of capitalizing on what's hot right now. This is clearly going to get a lot of the crazies to come out and buy tickets to the movie theaters. But it sounds like a logical thing to do, and to do it with Joseph Kosinski, you got to imagine there's going to be it's not just going to be a conspiracy theory movie. There's going to be action in this. If you're going to get the Top Gun Maverick and the F1 director, I don't know, Rob, you hear about this. What do you think?
Well, this is just another way that the deep state is softening up us for actual disclosure. So I'm excited because the more we get close to the fact that our alien overlords have been here, they're going through multi-dimensions and they've been influencing our technology and our way of life for thousands of years, John. The sooner we know this, between President Trump promising he's going to release the information, Steven Spielberg's making his secret movie about, maybe it's about disclosure. No, in all honesty, bring it on. I mean, if Joseph Kosinski, who made Oblivion, and he made Tron Legacy, he has a great eye, and Top Gun Maverick, and F1, if they're going to make a movie about UFOs, bring it on. I mean, if they're going to make a modern take on Close Encounters, because Close Encounters is a documentary. Come on, John.
No, just people don't realize that.
And so is E.T., by the way.
Yeah, based on a true story.
It was. So I'm excited. I mean, look, I love the X-Files. I read books about UFOs when I was a kid. Give me any kind of psychic phenomenon, the Bermuda Triangle, Bigfoot. I love it all. Bat Boy that's on the cover of the Weekly World News.
Freaking love Bat Boy.
I know. I want to believe. I'm Fox Mulder, man. Show it to me. Give it to me.
Have you ever checked out Bat Boy the musical?
I have. Is there one?
There is.
Oh my God. And by the way, did you know that V was actually a found footage movie? It's true.
Okay. You know I'm working on audio drama. You know that.
Yes.
Do
What?
you know that it just came out? Kenneth Johnson, who created V, this is true, made a V audio drama. And it's set in London.
I think I
It
heard
just
that.
came out. Like, I think it's either out now or
Ooh,
just came out.
fun.
And it was the original creator of V. It's called V London.
Ooh.
Chris, what do you think about
next
maybe
coming out.
Bruckheimer and Kaczynski getting together for a UFO disclosure movie?
Oh, I love this. I mean, what a dream team pairing, first of all.
Yeah.
That just screams blockbuster right there. It's written all over that already. And then with the rise of UAPs being talked about in congressional hearings and everything as well, I feel like this isn't just conspiracy theory fodder anymore. It's stuff that people are genuinely interested in from all walks of life. There are certainly people who do the deep dive and are like, man, I've got pictures of Chupacabra in my house. Let's go. Let's talk about this. And you're like, that's a dog with mange, buddy. I'm so sorry. Or you have people who are just genuinely open to the idea of, hey, we're probably not alone in this galaxy. There's probably other things. So I feel like this is stuff that's just ripe for mining for content. I think this is going to be really interesting and fun. And
Johnny Depp
action-packed.
can play the multi-dimensional alien leader.
Play
There you
him.
go.
All right,
Probably
guys.
is a multidimensional being.
Question is for you. What do you think about this? Bruckheimer, Kaczynski, they gave you Top Gun Maverick. They're giving us F1. Now they're going to give us Aliens. What do you think about that? Chris is right. It does have blockbuster written all over it. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Some of you who followed me for any period of time know that one of my most anticipated things ever was the new Shogun series. Why? Because I read the Shogun novel, James Clavell Shogun novels when I was a kid, but I fell in love with Jerry London's 1980s miniseries of Shogun with John Rhys Davies in it, Richard Chamberlain.
Toshiro Mifune.
It was,
Storm
I
outside.
loved it as a kid. And I grew up wanting to see another Shogun. And Shogun came out, one of the best television series ever in history. It broke the record for most Emmy wins of any TV show ever in history, winning 18 in 1 year. It's been winning everywhere, just won the WGAs this week, all that kind of stuff. But you know who doesn't like it? You know who's not happy about it?
The director of
You
The
know
Crow?
who's got an axe to grind and wants to let you know about it?
Thinking about that earlier
The director of that 1980s Shogun, whining like a little bitch,
Dang.
Get him.
coming out for no reason, unprovokedly, coming out saying Americans don't like this show. It only won a bunch of awards because it had nothing competing against it. It was like all this kind of stuff. Listen, this comes to us from IndieWire. IndieWire writes the following. Jerry London added that the FX show Shogun is not entertaining for an American audience. That's funny. I was entertained by it.
You're Canadian.
Yeah, it doesn't count. I'm only
Yeah.
living
Yeah.
in America. I'm
Yeah.
Canadian. Because Canadians are far more intelligent.
living
Apparently
in
too
America.
highbrow. And only swept awards season due to a light year of low competition. He said, it won all the Emmy Awards because there were no big shows against it. London said, The Crown, because The Crown is nothing. Like, The Crown's not a real show. It's easy. That's a pushover, The Crown. And this gets to why. London was miffed that the 2024 Shogun press did not reference his original adaptation, despite the differences in the story emphasis. He said, I think I did such a great job. If you don't say so yourself, I think I did such a great job, and it won so many accolades, London said of his version, that I didn't want them to copy it, which they didn't. He added that it was disappointing that his series was not revisited amidst the new Shogun. There wasn't too much said about mine, he said. And then in a deep, dark baritone voice in the background, somebody said, Where's Lando? That's exactly what he's sounding like here. There wasn't too much said about mine, he said. Also, the new one is basically just one British actor, Cosmo Jarvis, in it. And frankly, he didn't have the charisma of my actor,
You ain't got
Richard
that
Chamberlain.
Riz. You ain't got that Riz.
Why are you gonna drag Cosmo?
Nah.
What did he do to you? And
By the
also,
way-
no charisma. Okay.
You know, the
All
only
right.
reason Emmys won, it won so many Emmys, because none of it was really up against anything. You know who Anna Sawai was up against to win her Emmy for Best Actress in this? She was up against Imelda Staunton, Reese Witherspoon, Carrie Coon, and Jennifer Aniston. You know who Hiroyuki Sanada was up against? No competition. No competition. He was only up against Idris Elba, Walton Goggins, Gary Oldman, and Dominic West.
Are any of those actors?
Not barely.
Oh.
Barely. All newcomers. Not really anything. Listen, what is with this trend lately of directors, creators, whatever, of older properties deciding to plant their soapbox in the middle of town square and go, I want to talk about how that thing is shitty. How pathetic do you need to be? You know what you do? You shut your mouth and you let the audience speak. Let the audience speak. Because guess what? If you're right, the audience will speak. I don't know. Maybe have a monochrome of class. Coming out there, it's like, this Jarvis guy, he's got no charisma. That show only won awards because it had no competition. Why weren't they talking about my show as this one was? This guy sounds like such a little bitch, and I say that with pain in my heart because he gave me something that I grew up absolutely loving. I love his Shogun. I do. The new one is infinitely better. But I grew up loving his Shogun. I did. The reason I was looking forward to this Shogun was because of his Shogun. So instead of having class and coming out and saying it's great to see the legacy of this stuff that I helped establish carrying on, and it's such an honor to, instead of doing that, coming out and crying like a little bitch. I hated reading this. And I don't understand why. Because you know what? Listen, I left Complex. I left Collider, right? Do you think in the number of years before they shut it down, because they couldn't survive without me, do you think in the years I shut it down?
They had me.
They did. I wasn't going to mention that.
Maybe I was the problem.
But in the years after I left, you don't think they did a lot of things over there I thought was really stupid? Of course they did. But did I ever once, until they shut it down and started attacking all the staff that they fired, before that happened, did I ever once come out and criticize anything that they ever did? Never. All I ever said about it was, I'm so proud of what we built over there. And I'm so proud of the people that are still there. They got some great talent there. I'm excited for what they're doing, blah, 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 blah. And then they had to do what they did by shutting it all down, crapped on the shows we created, and start attacking all the staff they laid off. That's when I changed directions. But it's like, just be classy. Don't say anything. Anyway, Rob, I know, like me, you truly treasured that Shogun docuseries, that Jerry London. I think it's great. It's part of my love of entertainment growing up. I don't know. What do you think about his comments?
They're disappointing. The original Shogun is my favorite miniseries of all time. Followed up by Winds of War and War and Remembrance.
Winds of War was so good.
But yeah, but the Shogun, and by the way, I wouldn't say that the new Shogun is better. It's just more modern. The old Shogun is still... I have it.
It's great.
Would you be surprised to know I have it on Blu-ray?
I would not. I would be surprised if you said you didn't.
And I revisit that. I probably watch it every year and a half because it's one of those things where you put in the first episode and you're like, oh, this is really good. I'm going to keep watching.
That's like guy Claudius
and
for me.
It's brilliantly done. Maurice Jarre the guy who did the score for Lawrence of Arabia, did the score for Shogun, even though it sounds like it only had like 4 pieces in the orchestra. It's still great. I love Shogun. And, it's 45 years old this year. I mean, how many things, even if they remake something, I'm sorry, but that's just the way of the world. You can't expect people that weren't born yet to even know Shogun exists. It's 45 years old. And how do you see it? It's not like it's streaming. I mean, maybe it's streaming somewhere. It's a limited series. If you don't have a physical media copy, it's not like, oh, let's stream the original Shogun tonight. Where is it? You can't even see it. So it's really disappointing. The only thing you should be able to talk about the way Jerry London is Star Trek. That's it.
I knew you were gonna say that. Chris, what do you think about his statements here?
I understand the hypocrisy of what I'm about to say. This is why we don't need to know everyone's opinions on everything, every moment of every day.
Yeah.
And I know that
Except ours.
We're on a show talking about our opinions, but that's also why you can go, oh, I don't agree with Chris Carr, and that's fine. You all often don't, and that's totally great, and I sleep so good at night. I think more people need PR training because all you need to do is rework this sentence. Oh, I'm so excited to see that Shogun picked up a unprecedented 18 wins for a single season of a show. Hopefully that will make more people want to come back to mine, and maybe we can find a way to put it back out there. It's really interesting to see how this has changed and progressed and has a different kind of view on the same story. I really am proud of what I did, and I hope that maybe that'll make people come back to see my show.
And I'll bet they made the show because of his show.
Oh, I'm sure the love of his show, like
Yes.
us, is part of why I was excited about the new one. By the way, I got to throw this out there. One of our live viewers, one of our beloved channel members, Brendan McDonald, writes, breaking news. Old man yells at cloud that's better than his original cloud. which is well said, my friend. Well said. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I just don't get the tendency, the trend lately of like original filmmakers or directors or storytellers feeling the need that they've got to come out and unprovokedly start attacking the new stuff. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got a lot of stuff to talk about, including one of the stars of Agatha All Along has just joined the new He-Man Masters of the Universe film. Why John Malkovich turned down multiple MCU films and ultimately said yes to being in Fantastic Four. And Daredevil's coming out. We got its release schedule, and it's kind of weird. They're doing something with it that they haven't done before, I don't think. Anyway, we're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Indeed. We want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's episode, Indeed. Okay, so you just realized your business needed to hire somebody like yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for the right candidates so you can reach the best talent faster. And it works. Indeed's data shows that sponsored jobs get 45% more application than non-sponsored jobs. The thing I'm impressed most with Indeed is how fast it makes hiring. When I was looking to hire somebody for the John Campea Show, the process felt slow and overwhelming. I hate it. I wish I had used Indeed. And you want to know how fast Indeed is? In just the minute that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed worldwide. So don't wait. Speed up your hiring now with Indeed. And for listeners of this show, you get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Campea. Just go to Indeed.com/Campea and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed here. That's Indeed.com/Campea. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. And thank you to our friends at Indeed for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this here, shall we? He-Man, Masters of the Universe. It's hard to kind of wrap your head around. For years and years and years and years, people wanted a new live action one. It is coming. The great news, Travis Knight is directing it, director of Kubo and the Two Strings, and probably by far the best live action Transformers movie with Bumblebee. He's now doing it. And the good news is, it's good we got Fisto, but are we going to get Ram Man?
Because you need both.
You need both. You need the Fist Ram team up movie to come. But now we got
Saturday
both.
Night Out.
Phrasing.
Phrasing, sorry.
Phrasing.
Oh, yes, that's right. That didn't even come out the way I intended it to come out.
It never does.
It very rarely does. But now we got some new casting in there, including one of the stars of Agatha All Along. The good folks over at The Hollywood Reporter have written the following. Live action movie Masters of the Universe is continuing to power up because it's filming right now, as 3 cast members have joined the Amazon MGM Studios project. Based on the popular Mattel toy line, the film started production and has added Shazir Zamata, who was in Agatha All Along. She was one of the Coven in that, as Susie. John Zhu Zhang as Ram Man. I believe he was in Eternals, if I'm not mistaken. Not one of the Eternals, but I think he was in that. And Christian Vinipola, who I'm not familiar with, as Hussein. Nicholas Galzantine, G-Spot, as I call him. G-Spot was previously announced to star as He-Man in director Travis Knight's feature, set to hit theaters exclusively on June 5th, 2026. All right, I gotta say, see this toy? See this guy?
Yeah.
This was one of my favorite toys I had as a kid. I don't. I just because if am I not mistaken? Wasn't it also
His arms
spring loaded?
moved. His arms moved.
Was his arm? Yeah. So it had kind of like a spring loaded thing in him. But I love that they've added the girl from Agatha all along because she's the only one that survived at the end. Right? She's the only one in the coven other than that. Well, Agatha doesn't survive either. She's the only one in the coven that survives at the end. I thought she was very good in that show. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know about who Susie is. So clearly this is one of the Earth human characters. I do love that we're going to get Ram Man. I think it's interesting that they've kept all the original names. Like you would think,
Sometimes
because like
unfortunate.
in Marvel, right? Sometimes you have a hero, but they'll never actually refer to the hero name. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they won't always call somebody. Like it was a while before Scarlet Witch was ever said in the MCU.
Just her name.
Yeah, it was just.
Sabra wasn't. And
Yeah.
Winter Soldier.
I mean, so they'll just. You'd think with a name like Fisto or Ram Man, but no, they're keeping the names. They're keeping it true to the toy line. And listen, I'll
Copyright,
tell you what.
too.
I did not like the pictures we saw of Prince Adam in the pink shirt being arrested by mall cops. Whatever, it's out of context. Who? Whatever. I gotta say, aside from those pictures, I am getting kind of excited for this movie. If for no other reason, the director, Chris, what do you think about the casting additions, the addition of Ram Man, and honestly, where's this right now on your meter for how excited or not you are?
You know, we welcome all of our He-Man friends. All of our He-Man and She-Ra friends can come to the party. Sasheer Zamata is an incredible actress. I am so glad that she is on the rise right now. She was always so great on SNL, and I feel like they never knew quite what to do with her, and they didn't utilize her to her full extent. And so to see her in Agatha all along and to start seeing her in more of these kind of blockbuster properties is very exciting to me. I'm going to see this movie. As a kid, I would always watch the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special. So
Wait a minute, there's a He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special?
yeah, they used
I've
to have
never
it on
seen that.
Netflix. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
It used
watch
to be on Netflix. I don't know if it's on there anymore, but you can give it a goog.
I'll give it a goo.
Yeah, you'll find it.
Rob, what do you think about the casting, and where's your anticipation level like right now for Masters Universe?
You know, I did buy the first run of He-Man figures, and I bought them the same day that Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan opened on June 4th, 1982. But that was the only He-Man figures I bought, that first line. But with Travis Knight directing this, I think, and I met him, I interviewed him once for a licensing show at the Netflix offices. I think as a creator, the same way he brought that life to Bumblebee and Kubo and the Two Strings as well, I think he's going to bring something really special to this. And as a fantasy science fiction film, obviously it's family oriented, but I think he's going to make a movie. I keep thinking about Dungeons and Dragons, Chris Pine's Dungeons and Dragons.
Loved it.
Love that movie.
I think that they'll probably go for something along those lines in terms of tone. And for that reason alone, and that Travis Knight is directing, I'm excited. And look, the fact that they're bringing in all these crazy characters and not changing their names, they're probably going to look, because they want to sell toys too. I'm excited to see what this movie looks like. What is Castle Grayskull going to look like? What is Eternia going to look like? Are we going to have like the Wind Rider, and are we going to have Battle Cat? And are we going to? I think it's going to be cool.
I think Ray will literally get up and walk out of the theater if we get 30 minutes into this movie and there's no Battle Cat. I seriously, I worry he's literally going to get up and walk out of the theater.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I'm excited just to see what Travis Knight does with this property. I think it's going to be good.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? We got some new casting being added. We've got some new characters that we now know. What do you think of them? And in general, I know there's some trepidation. I do too, but where's your overall enthusiasm for this movie right now? Again, if for no other reason, Travis Knight is directing. That gives me hope. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, John Malkovich is about to make his entrance into the MCU in Fantastic Four. Of course, he makes a startling yet brief appearance in the trailer that we already got for Fantastic Four with the full beard and all that kind of stuff. And we've speculated ad nauseum about who he might be playing. And there's various theories out there about who he might be. Now, many of you might remember that he was poised to enter the comic book movie world in what was going to be Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4.
Right. Yeah.
Where he was lined up to play Vulture. And remember, That movie was like weeks away from filming when they ultimately pulled the plug on it and all that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, we've now found out that John Malkovich had been offered roles in MCU movies multiple times, and he's always turned them down for the same reason, and then ultimately accepted one for a very specific reason. This comes to us from Variety, quoting John Malkovich in an interview where he said this: "The reason I didn't do them because he was offered multiple MCU movies. The reason I didn't do them had nothing to do with any artistic considerations whatsoever," Malkovich said. "I didn't like the deals they made at all. These films are quite grueling to make. If you're going to hang from a crane in front of a green screen for 6 months, pay me. You don't want to pay me? It's cool, but then I don't want to do it because I'd rather be on stage or be directing a play or be doing something else." What Malkovich was surprised to discover was that filming the Fantastic Four was, quote unquote, not that dissimilar to doing theater, because you imagine a bunch of stuff that isn't there and do your little play. He told GQ that he took a role in the movie primarily in Fantastic Four because he wanted to work with director Matt Shaman again after 2014's Cut Bank. So, first of all, I think there's a number of fascinating things in here. And by the way, Jonathan, if you can look up, how old is John Malkovich?
Oh, okay.
Because at minimum, he's in his 70s, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he was in Spielberg's Empire of the Sun. wasn't he?
71.
He's 71 now. By the way, he was great in Red. I love him in everything, but he was so good in Red.
Cyrus the Virus. Con Air.
Con Air.
Yeah.
So, first of all, the fact that Marvel has gone to him multiple times and tried to get him in different projects. Clearly, Kevin Feige must be a big fan. I mean, who isn't a big fan of John Malkovich? So they've tried to get him, and he's kept saying, it's all just been based on money. It's never been that I don't like the project or I don't like what you do. It's that, listen, dude, I'm in my 70s, or at the time his late 60s. You want to swing me from cranes and you want me to dress up in white ball blue suits and you want me to do, okay, but you're going to have to pay me a premium. And if you don't want to pay me that much, no problem. I got other things to do. And clearly they were able to find the right balance of a character that he can do and pay him the right amount of money. Look, all I know is that I still have no idea what his role in this movie is going to be. We obviously speculated about what the role could be, but I'm just happy he's there because, to quote Robert Meyer Burnett, by putting John Malkovich in, he classes the joint up and it brings more credibility to it. So I thought it was a really interesting interview. Rob, what did you take away from this?
Well, I love the fact that he has no F's to give. So he's just telling the truth. And, you know, I love that story that Matt Damon tells. I think it's about doing the movie Rounders, the poker movie that he did with Ed Norton.
He hates he can barely stand watching that because of his accent. He hated his accent.
He talks about Malkovich going,
don't splash the pot.
Yeah, he's such a, but I've loved Malkovich since like movies like Roland Joffe's The Killing Fields in the mid 80s. I love Malkovich. He has a new movie coming out. I think it's called Opus, where he plays like a rock and roll cult leader, and these people go to his encampment to see, I don't know what it's called, but it looks great. I think it's called Opus. I've loved everything. I love John Malkovich.
What was the movie he did?
It is called Opus.
It is called Opus. Can't wait. Look at the trailer for Opus.
What was the movie he did? This is an older one where he played an assassin and Clint Eastwood was like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, in the Line of Fire.
in the
Line of
Line
Fire.
of Fire. Thank you.
Yeah.
That
Where he
movie,
like
Wolfgang Peterson
manufactured
directed
the
that.
gun that
He
couldn't be
he
picked up by.
manufactures it.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's so great, and they have those long phone conversations. Oh, Frank,
so good.
what was it like being on his detail?
That was like one of
That was a really good
the
movie.
later of Clint Eastwood's like cop films that I really love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, powerhouse direction from Wolfgang Peterson. That studios don't make those movies anymore. It'd be a 10-episode miniseries or limited series now.
Chris, you read the comments John Malkovich made. I mean, what part stood out to you the most? The fact that he had been offered so many MCU roles, why he didn't take them, why he did take this one. I don't know. What did you take away from it?
The honesty stood out to me of, oh, yeah, I appreciate that. Of just, yeah, you got to pay me. Back up that Brinks truck. Come on, let's go. But I do love that he goes on to say how this does have an artistic merit to it. And it does feel akin to doing a play. You know, Ian McKellen famously had a really difficult time on The Hobbit because of how it became all tennis balls and blue screen. screens and everything. It's really difficult to operate and do that kind of theater of the mind when you're working. It's something that a lot of voice actors really struggle with too, of, well, I'm just in front of a microphone. Now I have to act like I'm in this whole space and I'm talking to somebody and having proximity with them. Imagining all these fantastical elements and all these wild powers and everything, that's really, really difficult to do and still stay grounded in your own reality. So I'm glad that he gave this a little bit of praise too on being, hey, this is still artsy and hard.
I do like also that he said he wanted to work with Matt Shakman again.
Yes.
You know, and Matt Shakman directed WandaVision, which is all of our favorite Marvel TV show properties.
Yeah, made a
So
great
good.
choice to do
And
this movie.
that's one of the reasons I'm really excited for the movie as well. I think it's going to be good because Shakman's a great director, and the fact that an actor wasn't talking about, oh, I want to be in a Marvel movie. The actor wants to work with the director. I love that. That's going to bring, I think it's going to bring something special to that movie.
All right, guys, question is for you. What did you think about this? John Malkovich revealing that he had been offered multiple MCU projects. I would love to know which ones he was offered, and particularly which roles he had been offered before. And now ultimately why he decided to do Fantastic Four. What were your main takeaways from it? What stood out to you guys the most? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? We're a little over 2 weeks away, about 2 weeks away now, from the debut of Daredevil Born Again. And despite the showrunner saying a few stupid things lately, I am actually legitimately very, very excited for this. I'm going to be doing an after show of it. Hope you guys will tune in and join me. And it's going to be airing on Tuesday nights. Now, here's the catch. They just released the release schedule for the first bunch of episodes. And they're doing something that I don't recall seeing them do before, at least with an MCU property. Now, it's not unusual for a Disney Plus show to launch with 2, maybe even 3 episodes, which I think is a great idea for streamers to do, because sometimes you can't hook the audience member with just the first episode, right? Give a couple of episodes to really let us get a feel for the show, and that will go a long way in getting people hooked to stay on for the following episodes. So on Tuesday, March the 4th, they are indeed doing that. The debut, The Devil's Work Is Never Done, Daredevil Born Again. By the way, how do you like that poster?
It's dope.
I like that. They're going to be launching with a 2-episode premiere. 2 episodes. And by the way, I want to bring this up because I make sure I get this right. It's the runtimes are now being reported, because, you know, I've been a little bit worried that they're going to do these 30-minute runtimes. Apparently the runtimes for the first 2 episodes are 58 minutes and 47 minutes.
That's
Nice.
a lot of credits.
That 41 minutes of which will be credits with 20 minutes of trailers. No, which is exactly what I wanted to hear. That's perfect. Love it. Hopefully episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6 go on with that. Okay. So they're launching with 2 episodes. Not unusual for them. That's great. Then we go on the following week, Tuesday, March 11th, episode 3 at 6 p.m. By the way, I like that they're launching them at 6 p.m. They're staying away now from what they used to do on Disney Plus, which was the midnight dropping of it, which was no good for anybody.
Nah.
No.
So 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, March 11th, episode 3. Then we go to Tuesday, March 18th, episode 4. Perfect. But then comes something interesting. On Tuesday, March the 25th, in the middle of the season, they're doing another double episode drop. They're going to be dropping episodes 5 and 6 on Tuesday, March 25th.
That's cool.
Which is cool, but it begs the question, why? I can't validate this. I think one of the Star Wars shows might have done that once, where somewhere mid-season they dropped 2 episodes.
Agatha just bookended it like that, but they didn't do it in the middle like that.
Yeah. Well, like, again, not unusual to do it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Not unusual to do the final episode
Yeah.
or 2, because Agatha did that. So that's perfectly fine, but right in the middle of the season. So the question is why? Here's my theory. My theory is episodes 5 and 6 are one kind of thing, and they didn't want to leave, like, to really get episode 5, you need to also see episode 6. And it's not just a cliffhanger. It's like to fully appreciate what's happening in 5, so it doesn't feel like an empty episode or whatever. You got to also have 6 with it, because it's kind of like one complete picture of what they're trying to do in that 2 episode span. So my theory is, and it's just an unbased theory, a pure fan theory, is that these 2 episodes truly go hand in hand, and they didn't want to leave the audience for a week going, what was the point of that? You know what I'm saying? They wanted the audience to finish the 2 episodes and go, whoa, what a great experience watching this. That's my theory. Chris, do you recall, forget even just Disney Plus, do you recall any networks that after starting off with 1 or 2 or 3 episodes going 1 episode a week and then all of a sudden having a double one somewhere in the middle? And why do you think they did it here with Daredevil?
I can't off the top of my head. I was trying to look up some stuff. I guess the equivalent here is Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man has been bundling the episodes, but those are also shorter episodes.
Right. And Arcane did the same thing. 3 episodes, 3
Those little
episodes, 3
chunks.
episodes.
But it was a consistent thing,
Yes,
not
exactly.
the here's 1, now here's 2 sort of thing. I'm wondering if it's just because of a great narrative payoff of having those 2
Maybe.
episodes together, where it feels like a very, very big cliffhanger to be continued that wouldn't be a satisfying end for a weekly show. Maybe something where you do want to have those 2-parters all crammed together or something. It does pique my interest, though.
Could be part of that rising action. It's like 2/3 into the series.
Yeah.
It's a special, extra long episode of Family Ties, you know?
Now, one
Oh
of
my God,
our
this is the episode where they finally do heroin, and they're like,
Karen
this is
Page,
bad.
it's a
Yeah.
very special episode, or Helen Hudson and someone's going to jump out a window at their school.
Yeah.
God.
Now, one of our viewers
that
wrote in,
reference.
I think the reason they're doing is because both of those are really short episodes.
Oh.
That could be.
Maybe.
That could be. I think there's more of a narrative purpose to it.
I do too.
Rob, what do you think about this? Can you think of this ever being done? And why do you think they're packaging a couple together?
I mean, I think you're right. I think it would have something to do with the subject matter. I mean, we joke about it's a very special episode. Karen Page descends into that heroin addiction. All jokes aside, I think that you're probably right. I think that there was probably no way, like people would know that it was unsatisfying. You know, like watching the end of one episode, and you're like, that was terrible. Like people would be left, but it is only a week, so
Maybe
I'm curious why they would do that.
To that point, I was wondering if maybe they're not airing something the following week. For whatever reason.
Right now they've only got the March dates listed.
Oh.
I
Could there
don't
be a
think it's 'cause
sporting
they're not-
event? Is there some big thing happening?
I don't
that
think
week?
so. I mean, the Super Bowl. I mean, that Super Bowl is the only thing that would really do that, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
obviously
gone.
done. So I don't know. And the Oscars will be far in the rearview mirror.
Does it say how many episodes is in the whole season?
9.
I think we established it was
It is
9.
Yeah.
So there's still going to be, after the dropping of episodes 5 and 6, there's still 3 episodes to go.
Wow.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll find out that at the beginning of April, they're going to bundle the final 3 episodes together. I mean, I doubt that. They'll probably stretch it out. But again, I think it's interesting. Guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Again, it's not unusual for a streaming series to start with multiple episodes as they kick it off. But then it's like single episode, single episode, single episode, single episode, and then maybe bundle the finale with something. But this mid-season thing is where, why do you think they're doing that with Daredevil? We've got our theories. What are yours? Whatever they are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. Now, some of you may have seen in the comments post that we said we were going to do a What's More Likely today, and we were going to play What's More Likely, and we have picked out some What's More Likely questions that you guys submitted, but we had way too many topics today and we're running overtime, so we're going to have to save What's More Likely until tomorrow. So we are now going to get on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another quick moment here and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. I'm wearing them right now, our friends at Birddogs. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Birddogs. You know what I hate? Dress pants. They're stiff, they're uncomfortable, and they always feel like they're fighting against me. But then I found Birddogs, and let me tell you, it's been a total game changer. These pants fit like a dream, giving you all the comfort of gym wear while still looking sharp enough for work or a night out. I wear my Birddogs everywhere, lounging at home, running errands, or even a night out at the game. The fit? spot on. You get to pick your exact waist and length, so no awkward bagginess or tight spots. And unlike other high-end brands like Lululemon or Vuori, Birddogs skip that shiny, weird-looking material, just straight-up premium comfort. And let's talk for a second about their classic quarter zip, probably my favorite thing they make. I threw it on the other day for a casual dinner and it looked sharp, but I was comfortable as if I was wearing pajamas. It's that good. For a limited time, our listeners get a free hat with every order when you use the code John Campea at birddogs.com. Get their best-selling hat completely free when you use the code John Campea at birddogs.com. Support our show and let them know we sent you. And thank you to our friends at Birddogs for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. And for whatever reason, I didn't hear the whole conversation, but Rob's parting words as he walked out the door was, "I've got your fisto right here."
Yeah.
Don't know what the conversation was, but I'm glad I caught the end of it.
People don't know he's a bully.
Ray Hora's in studio right
what's
now.
up,
Guy,
everyone?
time for us to get on to your live comments and questions. Let's get to it. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Scott Brown. Cap 4 wasn't bad. It had some rehashed plots like Bucky and Isaiah, Zemo and the Leader. To me, it was like a penultimate episode trying to wrap up all the loose ends before the season finale. But the action and Mackie were good. Overall, I would say it was just okay.
I think that's the best case scenario, is to say that it was just okay. I wasn't at the best case. I was just not quite okay. Again, some of the action I thought was great. Some of it was piss poor. Anthony Mackie always delivers. He's a dynamic, wonderful performer, but it wasn't enough to save the movie overall for me, unfortunately. But I'm glad you at least enjoyed it a little bit. All right, what's next?
All right, Leo Jests here. Leo says, "Hey guys, hope the day is going well. So John, I can't believe how negative you've been about Marvel lately, and only Marvel. Don't you know some of us can't handle someone not always loving everything that we do?" Kidding. In all seriousness, though, has it felt like people in recent years have been more quick to say some franchise or universe is dead near every time a movie wasn't on par with everything else, or a 10 out of 10 to them? It seems like an odd mindset to me. Keep up the entertaining work.
Yeah, I mean, that has been absolutely true for a while. Like, it doesn't matter how good something has been. It's like, oh, this thing's dead now. Because, like, one thing, a great example too is with some directors, right? There have been some directors who have got like a wildly solid resume of great projects. And then they put out one movie that didn't turn out so good, and they go, "Keep him away from my favorite franchise. Don't let that guy direct anything." Because it's like, they did one movie that wasn't so good. Like, I get it. You know, The Last Jedi wasn't everybody's favorite Star Wars movie. I get it. But then all of a sudden, Rian Johnson sucks. Rian Johnson can't direct. Rian Johnson's awful. It's like, how fucking stupid are you?
Pretty.
Like look at all of his past films. And because he did one, he took some big swings, and some of those swings he swung and missed. Okay. Then all of a sudden, oh, he sucks. Keep him away from any other movie. Oh, he's terrible. Well, thankfully, studios didn't listen to that, because if studios listened to those people, we wouldn't have gotten, Knives Out or
yeah.
Glass Onion. And so anyway, yeah, but that has happened more and more and more. Like, some franchise or some individual can have this incredibly solid body of work, and then they do one thing they don't like, and it's like, that person sucks now. It's like, man, I would love to come to your workplace and see if you ever have one bad day. Anyway, yeah, it is an unfortunate thing about us film fans that we do. All right, what's next?
Chris says, "Hey, John and crew, first time writing after listening every day for the past 7 years. Do you have any obscure, underrated picks for future Oscar winners? I know impossible to predict, but mine would be Daniel Radcliffe or Ben Stiller for directing."
I don't think those are terribly obscure.
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe has really been kind of tearing it up, especially with the smaller, Daniel Radcliffe and Robert Pattinson have taken like shockingly similar kind of career paths, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they hit it big, much younger as a certain character, and then kind of stayed away from the bigger movies and just did smaller indie stuff where they really impressed a lot of people. I mean, honestly, that's why when Robert Pattinson got announced as Batman, a lot of people were Twilight boy, like, because that's all they knew. They didn't know this huge string of movies that he did that he was phenomenal in, and people like Christopher Nolan and other directors like Christopher Nolan started lining up wanting to work with him. Daniel Radcliffe hasn't enjoyed that level of success yet, but it's kind of similar. Like people have really taken notice of just how good he is. And I don't think it's that obscure. As far as picking future Oscar winners, again, Ben Stiller has been a very well-respected director for a long time, so that's not inconceivable. Daniel Radcliffe. I don't know about the quiet ones. It's hard to say, but I do like the picks you gave. All right, what's next?
Chris follows up. A while ago, someone wrote in asking you to recommend a random movie. You recommended Changing Lanes, which I watched last night. A great movie, which I would have probably scrolled past if it wasn't for you. Thanks. And then any other recommendations?
Oh, another. Well,
I mean,
first of all,
millions, thousands of recommendations.
Speaking of like when they announced Robert Pattinson, people say, when they announced Ben Affleck as Batman,
Yeah.
it's like, have you not seen Changing Lanes? He's great in Changing Lanes. It's one of my favorite movies of his. It's him, Samuel L. Jackson. It's all about how like little choices can lead to massive domino effects.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful movie. If you haven't seen Changing Lanes, go check it out.
You know what? Oh, go ahead.
No, you got one?
Well, yeah, I was going to say we could stay on the theme of Batman, but also on the theme of like Batman Boy, where you don't really know about their past work. I would say The Rover. Check out The Rover.
Oh, The Rover's fantastic. He did that one with
Guy
Memento.
Pearce.
Yeah, I was going to
Guy
say Memento
Pearce.
Boys. Guy Pearce. Another one that I would recommend. You know what? This just came up yesterday because we got an ad show up for a local presentation of one of my. I have two comedies that are tied for my favorite comedy
And I
of
know
all
the
time.
ad.
Noises Off.
Yeah, at the New Beverly.
So many of you guys have still not seen Noises Off. It is tied for my all-time favorite comedy with 40-Year-Old Virgin. That's my all-time favorite. And tied with that is Noises Off. Guys, listen to this cast. It's an older film, but Michael Caine, Christopher Reeve, Carol Burnett, John Ritter. The movie is hilarious and fantastic, and do check it out if you get a chance. All right, what's next?
Goku with a $20 tip.
Woo!
Says, if Russo brothers and Kevin Feige came to you and asked you for a cool fan service moment of any characters going back to Blade 1 or Avengers Secret Wars, like that whole spectrum, who would you like to see fight one another to have a fun dialogue scene together? Like a little nostalgia thing.
One that more, because like I was going to mention one with Bishop, but not many people know who Bishop is. So it would have to be, if it's going to be truly big fan service. I have two scenarios. Both involve Hulk. Hulk versus Wolverine, which they kind of teased a little bit in Deadpool and Wolverine. And Hulk versus Thing.
Right.
One of my original favorite comic books I ever had was Hulk and Thing fighting. There's actually, in a more recent comic, there's this great there's a great page where Hulk and Ben Grimm are in a bar and they're having a tense conversation. And basically, as Hulk is leaving and Bruce is leaving, he basically says to Ben, it's like, you do, of course, know all those times we fought, I was 100% holding back, right? And that like burned Ben because he knew it was true. But again, for big fan service moments, I think Hulk versus Wolverine or Hulk versus Thing would be really fun to see. All right, what's next?
We got Suthius. On the topic of bodies becoming soup, such as examples you gave of Sam and Rhodey, here are some more. Clint falling 5 to 10 stories through a jagged concrete glass metal in Endgame. And all he says is, ow. And Natasha falling at the end of Black Widow.
Well, at the end of Black Widow.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I remember her falling, but I can't remember how she lands. Like, here's a great example of the problem I have with it. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up. Let's see, Captain America for poster. I'm gonna see if I can. Okay, this is a great example of this. Let me see if I can get it on my screen. Okay, so this poster, right?
There you go.
Okay, it's a vibranium shield, so Hulk won't break it. Okay, this is the problem I have with, and this is not just a Captain America 4 problem. It's a comic, not even just a comic book movie problem. Like a lot of action movies this is a problem with them. Let's say this iPad, okay? Let's say this was a sheet of steel, okay? And under it, I put an egg. Now, if I flat palm hit this thing of steel, the thing of steel won't break. But guess what's going to happen to the egg underneath it if I go bang? The egg is going to shatter. If a Hulk was punching down on a regular human being who is hiding behind a shield, fine, the shield won't break.
But the shield will squish you.
But you will be squished into a puddle of pus underneath that shield. Yeah, it's great you're holding the shield, but it's still gonna, because, we've seen Captain America, Steve Rogers, get hit and hold up the shield, and the shield blocks it, but it sends Cap flying, right? But he's also a super soldier. If that were to happen, there were a couple of scenes where Hulk punches him and he blocks it with the shield. Guess what? That would turn Sam into soup if that were to happen. But again, I'm not trying to pick on Captain America 4 for that. That's a problem in a lot of comic book movies and in a lot of action films in general. But I like those examples you gave too. All right, what's next?
All right. I don't think this is really all that spoilery because it's more just on Sam's decision making. But
okay,
stop me if hey John, sorry for the late comment. Or Chris H says sorry for the late comment on Cap, Brave New World, but life and work got in the way, so I'm purposely behind on the show. I had been neutral on the shouldn't Sam be Captain America, and this movie totally cemented for me that he should not be Cap. There are many scenes in the movie that to me were logically leading to Sam's rejecting and retiring Captain America. I mean, we saw that in the series too, as he's not Steve, especially in the last third of the movie. I actually left surprised after said scenes, and that Sam still holds the title. I felt like the story was setting up a different conclusion, yet it didn't follow through. Curious to hear your thoughts. Did you feel the same way? What direction do you think is best now?
Yeah, and again, it's not a Sam problem. There's nobody in the MCU that can be Captain America. I said long before Falcon and the Winter Soldier and long before Endgame, when people started speculating that Chris Evans was leaving and who's going to be Captain America next, and everybody's main two contenders were Bucky or Sam. And I said, neither of them can be Captain America. It's not a Sam thing. It's not a Bucky thing. There is no other Steve Rogers. And Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers. Right? And you know who just did a brilliant video essay on this? I've referenced this channel a couple of times on the show. There's a guy named Rob over at Comics Explained.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
It's a great YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You should absolutely check it out. But Rob just put up, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. Rob just actually put up a brilliant kind of meditation, if you will, about Captain America 4. And in it, he really goes into why ultimately the audience doesn't care about Sam as Captain America the way we did for Steve Rogers as Captain America. And I would argue we wouldn't have felt the same way for Bucky either. But instead of me just basically trying to retell everything he said, I think it's a great video. Go check it out. It's on the Comics Explained channel. I think it's his thoughts on Captain America 4, but it's more than just his review of Captain America 4. He really breaks down about why we just can't, we can't get attached, and how they kind of drop the ball in trying to get us attached to Sam as the new Captain America. So instead of me just trying to repeat it all, I would highly encourage you go check it out. And if you do, let Rob know that I sent you. But go check it out. It's a really well thought out, very well presented little video essay on it. All right, what's next?
We got The Leader. This is kind of part of the other thing. So Gator, sorry. Saw Captain America 4 last night. Thought it was okay. Kind of bad, but still entertaining. Does anyone else feel like the visual effects of the MCU lately have been going backwards? The CGI and green screen felt early 2000s. I wouldn't go that far.
Here's the point. Some of the CGI is so good,
yeah,
you don't even know when it's CGI.
Right?
I mean, that's the thing. And the thing is that CGI is getting so good, and we've gotten so spoiled with it, that when it's not absolute perfection, it really kind of... Listen, there is still stuff in the realm of CGI and visual effects that you can't do that will 100% fool the eye. right? There's still some stuff that's going to happen sometimes. And sometimes there are just some big mistakes. Sometimes there's some clear compositing mistakes or whatever. But I think we have forgotten to appreciate just how good the CGI in these movies are. Like, yeah, we'll pick out the moments that are pretty bad. But again, I brought this up the other day. I'll bring it up again. It reminds me of like The Last of Us when the giraffe shows up and everybody said, that's some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. That was a terrible CGI giraffe. It was a real giraffe. It wasn't CGI. It was real. They actually brought a real giraffe in and actually shot it, like filmed it. They actually shot filmed it. But I feel like that's kind of us right now, is that we have gotten to a point that we don't really appreciate just how good it is. But yes, sometimes they'll still drop the ball. Because remember, it wasn't that many years ago that an average movie, like even an action sci-fi movie, whatever, would have like, it was amazing to hear, would have 400 visual effects shots in it. We're literally talking movies now that have 3,000 visual effects shots in it. So it's you got to keep it in context. All right, what's next?
We got Thomas Bombadil. Hi, team. I read that Apple is making a Siegfried and Roy limited series. The latest rumors suggest that Andrew Garfield and Jude Law are being eyed to play them. Honestly, this sounds about perfect to me. This would make me watch the show instantly.
I read that story and I contemplated doing it as one of the stories today. Again, we were completely packed though. This is not a rhetorical question. Is anybody interested in a Siegfried and Roy movie or show?
Maybe
I'm not.
Show if it's intriguing, you know.
Again, I'm not asking rhetorically.
Yeah.
I'm honestly curious out there. Are there people who are like, you know what I'd love to watch? A Siegfried and Roy story. I just don't know if that's now. Jude Law and Andrew Garfield. I mean, that's going to get my attention, but I don't know. Like Ray, you ever caught yourself thinking about Siegfried and Roy?
Well, tigers are just, I think, probably the most vicious beast I think we have on Earth. I mean, I've always wondered the day-to-day on how they handle those things. I'm sure there's plenty of people around them, things like that. But it's still one of those things that, like, I think if a good studio is behind it, they can make you care about anything. You know what I mean? Like even something that you never thought.
But if you're watching it, are you going to go watch it to let them get you to care?
Yeah. The first episode for sure. If it's Apple, yes. Netflix.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Netflix, I might hold off. Max, yes.
There might be a lot of drama there we don't know. So
I mean, people didn't really think that they would care about Tommy Lee and Pamela, right? That
I was instantly.
But that relationship was like not even in the forefront anymore. It's not like one of the big.
Everybody knew it and everybody loved that story.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
like the original sex tape.
I'm just saying, whoever didn't care seemed like they cared after watching that show. You go back and start, did that really happen?
So you think that if they did a Siegfried and Roy thing, people will be interested?
Apple or Max.
If it's on Apple,
it has to be Apple or Max, because especially Max, they know how to get drama there.
All right. What's next?
Agent Michael Scarn says, I love this friendly neighborhood Spider-Man show. Final episodes came out today, and as much as I don't love the animation style, even though I think it looks cool in the fight scenes, the story is incredible. They subvert so many expectations on the normal character arcs that we know and make it so intriguing, i.e. Lonnie Lincoln's storyline and Norman's role. They set up so many surprising things in the finale. So with Spider-Man being my favorite childhood superhero, I can't wait for season 2.
I gotta admit, I haven't watched anything beyond the first. It was the first 2 they dropped initially, right? I haven't watched beyond the first 2, and I didn't mind it. Like I fully admit that before it came out, I had no interest in it. I didn't think it looked very good. I watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm like, you know what? That wasn't bad.
What are we talking about?
The Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. I just watched yesterday here.
You watch all of it?
The first episode.
Okay, so I watched the first 2. I'm like, it's not bad. I didn't think it was great, but I thought, you know what? This is pretty good. I haven't watched any of the others since.
The problem I found continuing, even though I liked it, was there was another thing that I wanted to watch too. And that's where this show is going to run into a problem with me. I have other things I
There'll
want
always
to
be other
watch.
things you'll want to watch before.
I wish it was just on TV where I turn it to the channel. They played all the episodes. But if it's my choice to actually open up the Disney Plus app and actually put it on, other things always beat it. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Darth Campea says, I agree with John, the Oracle, to kill the Hulk kid, the Hulk boy, and have Doom do it savagely. Plus, that could be the thing that sets him off and makes him revert back to Savage Hulk, which is what we all want.
Well, I mean, remember in the comic books, it was the death of Hulk's son. I mean, it was more than just his son. It was also his wife and his friends and his world and all that kind of stuff. But it was ultimately the death. Part of it was death of his son that kicks off the events of World War Hulk. Right? It was the climactic events of Planet Hulk that lead into the events of World War Hulk. If there is any one bit other than Age of Apocalypse, which is going to take them 15 years to get to. But if you were the one big storyline out there that I think a lot of people are dying to see is World War Hulk. Tremble Dust saying not his son, it was his wife. Yes. And I believe they had a child.
Yeah.
So like, that's what I'm saying. It was part of it, right? Like, don't forget the child part. If you want to get to a World War Hulk, which the current absolutely nerfed version of Hulk we have now, we're never going to have a World War Hulk with this like family barbecue Hawaiian shirt wearing Hulk. We're never going to get a World War Hulk. They've completely neutered the Hulk. But if you actually want to get us to the point where we could kill his kid, and that might get us there.
The one thing I've never really liked Hulk because I always thought he was too overpowered. But the one thing that Captain America 4 did was it made me miss that vicious Hulk. When just watching the Red Hulk do a lot of the moves,
that's what a lot of people felt too.
I was like, oh my God, where's this Hulk? But you know what? I've only accepted this Hulk that they've given us because I think they're doing some long-term booking. I don't know if you've ever he's gonna come back, but further down the line, so the impact is gonna be a lot greater.
I hope so, because honestly, with all the great stuff that the Russos have done in the MCU, and they have done legion of great things, the one thing I think they've really dropped the ball on, the one out of the hundreds they've done right, the one thing I think they really dropped the ball on is how they handled Hulk. All right, what's next?
Moon Knight Season 2 says, hey guys, after seeing Giancarlo Sidewinder in Cap 4 got me thinking, if you could choose one or two actors that you feel were wasted in the MCU so far to come back and play a future role, who would you choose? I mean, Crossbones to me was so wasted. But
They could have done so much more with Crossbones. Yeah. I did like that he got a callback in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I did like that.
Is he talking
No,
about
it wasn't
characters or
Winter Soldier.
actors?
It was Civil War, right? It was Civil War that he got the callback in, because that's the thing that kicked off the Sokovia Accords.
right, yes.
I liked his role in, Winter Soldier. I like that they called him back, but I think they could have used him a bit more because he's a great actor.
And Sidewinder should have been throughout this film.
I don't even think Sidewinder needed to be there, to be honest with you.
I felt like he gave the most tension of any villain. Like
Did
the
he?
leader I didn't care about. I was scared of the Sidewinder.
I wasn't scared of Sidewinder at all.
Yeah.
I didn't think they wrote the character well. But again, I don't want us to go into spoilery detail here. But
What a waste.
somebody that they...
Me or Sidewinder?
I don't know that they've really wasted anybody.
Giancarlo.
Who?
Giancarlo.
But we were already talking about that.
All
So
right.
other than that, I wanted to see Giancarlo Esposito as Magneto, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know.
Yeah, I get
Yeah, to me it's Crossbones. It's like,
Crossbones isn't a bad one.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we thought about it, but we're digging through, so
For-
many years.
Even though he did a great job, and even though he has the supposed Blade role, when they first said Mahershala was playing the villain.
By the way,
in Luke
the
Cage,
guys in the live chat are saying things like MODOK. The question is what character? It's like what actor got wasted,
Yeah.
and you'd like to see brought back in
right.
another role. So it's like,
Right.
I was disappointed when he was cast as a villain because I was like, he's gonna die. Why are you gonna use this actor?
Some people saying Kang, but even then you can't say Jonathan Majors because Jonathan Majors literally had 2 seasons of a show, his own full movie in Quantumania. I mean, he wasn't. They gave him plenty.
Christian Bale, really. Someone mentioned Christian.
Christian Bale. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yep, that's the one.
Yep.
That's the one.
That is
Christian
it.
Bale
Yep.
as Gore.
Yep.
That is something they should have done much more with, and it would be cool if he got another, because you can bring him back because he was all caked up in the makeup and everything, so you can bring him back.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Pope John Paul Atreides, Dune, Messiah's themes of castle intrigue, scheming, betrayal. You got Ray with that one. And tragedy are giving me Shogun and space vibes. Also, Denis wants to complete Paul's story, which ends in Children of Dune. I wonder if he'll bring parts of that book into the next movie.
He might, again, just the way that he took some heavy liberties in Dune 2 with the book. I suspect he'll take some heavy liberties with Dune Messiah. Again, I don't think they should do Dune Messiah. Listen, I've said this before, and I stand by this. There's about 3,000 Dune books, and they all get progressively worse. I know there are going to be some people that get mad at me for saying that, but that's my honest opinion. I think after the first Dune novel, they all gradually start getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And I just think there are things in Dune Messiah that is not going to be audience friendly, is not going to go over well with the audience. And I really do think I'm starting more and more when I look at all the changes he made for the Dune movies. I think he'll make some significant changes with Dune Messiah. Keep some themes, but change it. At least I certainly hope he does. All right, what's next?
Raymond Verrata says there's 2 new sports docs out. Court of Gold on Netflix about the recent Olympic basketball contest, and We Beat the Dream Team on HBO. Though Hill and Mashburn can finally tell their story, why do I feel it's a LeBron's fans' attempt to diminish MJ's legacy, Michael Jordan's legacy?
That's nonsense.
I'm gonna watch both of those for
That's
sure.
nonsense. Nobody's trying to diminish MJ. You can't diminish MJ. Nobody's trying to diminish MJ's legacy. Listen, there is still the court is still out. Jury's still out. I mean, there are certain things that MJ did that LeBron will never be able to do, but everybody keeps ignoring. There are things LeBron did that MJ was never able to do. One of the most incredible stats to me was in the finals when Cleveland beat the Golden State Warriors, who everybody considered to be an absolutely unbeatable team.
Yeah,
that
they had
Golden
the best,
State Warriors.
almost a perfect record that season.
Yeah. Like it was insane that like they were literally considered invincible. And LeBron went in there with Cleveland and won the championship and did something that had never been done in NBA Finals history. By the end of the series, LeBron James led every player on both teams in points, assists, and rebounds. Never been done before, where one player led all 3 major categories from both teams. Never been done before. So again, I think the jury's still out, but I also think it's pathetic and bullshit when some sports fans go, if you loud Michael Jordan, you think people just interpret that as trying to diminish LeBron James. Or when you loud LeBron James for his many amazing accomplishments, people think you're trying to diminish Michael Jordan. It's pathetic. They're both great.
I will say
they are the 2 greatest players of all time, and you might prefer one over the other, and that's fine. But acknowledging the insane things that each one of them has done is not taking away from the insane things that the other has done.
Yeah,
Anyway.
you can't even take into account what times that they played in, whatever. Just their accomplishments on the court themselves. Their numbers are great. I will say this: one thing I could almost be for sure to say that LeBron has over Michael Jordan is that LeBron, I think, feels like he's easier to get along with off court.
Maybe, but that has nothing to do with
But I'm just saying that's the only thing I like. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like again, and by the way, like LeBron James, and by the way, I'm somebody who thinks currently that MJ is the GOAT.
Yeah, I do too.
That's where I am at right now.
I don't think
right?
he's touchable.
But so having said that, there's only one person in the top 10 scorers in NBA history who are also in the top 20 of all-time assists and all-time rebounds. All the other players in the top 10 scoring list are not even in the top 20 for assists and rebounds. LeBron James is in all of them. That's insane. That's how good of an overall basketball player he is. And it's like how good these guys are.
He's going to play till 50, I think.
I think he'll play like 1 or 2 more years, but we'll see. Anyway, what's next?
Kermit's
By the way, Michael QB, I want to bring this up in the live chat, just said that's because of longevity. Longevity is a part of greatness. The fact that LeBron James is playing far better at 40 than Michael Jordan was able to play at 40, that is something.
Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Your what do all the sports guys say? Your best ability is availability. The fact that LeBron James, it's a part of his greatness that he's able to do what he's able to do for as long as he's been able to do it. That's a part of greatness, folks.
Except on All-Star Weekend.
Except on All-Star Weekend. All right, what's next?
saving himself.
Yeah, I know.
Kermitzimus the Frogimus says, "Hey, John and crew, my ears perked up the other day when another viewer wrote in talking about Bob Peterson from Pixar. She must be the same small town in Ohio my mom is from, as she was next door neighbors to the Petersons. She used to tell me how the Petersons were huge dog people and fostered many dogs.
Aww.
That theme seemed to make it into Up, the first film he directed. He also voiced Mr. Ray in Finding Nemo and Raz in Monsters, Inc. Anyway, small world.
Yeah.
It is really cool when we get to find those little connections, right? Like that's always really fun when you get to find those little connections.
It's so
For
fitting.
example, like my mom, who recently passed away, but my mom went to the same high school as Sidney Crosby's mom,
Ooh.
who one of the greatest hockey players of all time. By the way, how great is it? This Thursday, Canada versus U.S. for the championship for the Four Nations Cup. It's going to be awesome.
What's the Four Nations Cup in terms of the hierarchy of champion?
It's brand new.
Oh, it's brand
It's
new. It's the
first year
one.
they're doing
Okay.
Yeah, it beats the shit out of the NBA All-Star Weekend. Like beats the crap out of it.
Oh, but it's comparable to All-Star game.
It's done. No, the NHL's taken away the All-Star game, and instead, because nobody cares about All-Star games,
right. Okay.
and the players don't care,
So
and
it's just
instead
USA
they
and
created
Canada.
this thing called the Four Nations Cup,
Uh-huh.
which is Finland, Sweden, U.S., and Canada, 4 teams in a tournament, and where the players actually care and try their best and are playing for pride in their country, and it's been
It's
amazing.
like a mini World Cup.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's the first year they've done it. They will definitely repeat it.
You think they'll expand it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll definitely repeat it, and it's been absolutely insane. And the U.S. and Canada have emerged in the top 2 spots, so they're going for the title on Thursday. It's going to be insane. All right, what's next?
Francisco, one of two, says, "Hi, John. Love you and the crew. Great topic on the next Avengers on Tuesday. It will be great if we repeat the exercise, but with a 6-member team lineup with complementary powers and character traits. Mine will be Ant-Man, funny guy, Cap, Sam the leader, Wong the magic guy,
Sam cannot be the leader. Of the
Shuri the queen, scientific, Yelena the spy, Shang-Chi could represent the surprise, the audience perspective. Just an idea, longtime listener and member."
Well, the thing, though, is, and thanks for the input on that, the thing is that I don't think we are ever going to have a 6-member Avenger team again. Like, just like in Infinity War and Endgame, like Avengers was just kind of a nebulous term now for the community of superheroes. Now, yes, by the end of Cap 4, we got Cap saying he wants to try to put the Avengers back together again. Okay, but I still think it's going to be a very... I mean, they might start with some lackluster government Avengers group that I don't think is going to be very official or last very long.
This still needs a heavy hitter in his group, though. They don't have a heavy hitter.
Yeah, you need a heavy, because Yelena's not it.
Where's Vision?
I mean,
We'll
Vision's
find that
dead.
out.
The
White
white, because he
Vision.
has a series coming out. I
It's White
figured,
Vision.
unless it's a different timeline. Then I
Yeah,
figured
but
he's still around.
I don't know if you have... Vision might be on there, maybe not. I mean, really the most powerful guy on that team is Shang-Chi.
Or Wong with magic, but Shang-Chi.
Wong,
Now,
yeah.
I'm forgetting. Does Shang-Chi have any superpowers? He was just
It's
a
all
really
the
good
rings.
fighter.
It's all in
Yeah,
the
it's all
ring.
the
And it
rings.
was just the ring.
As long as the
His
rings are on him.
his control of the rings.
So his-
and not
that-
everybody can. It's not like an Iron Man thing where anybody can get into an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
You have to be able to actually the rings got to bond with you, and you got to be
Yeah,
able to
it's like
control the
choose
rings.
you.
And
So that bus fight, that was not like an enhanced human. He was just
No,
really-
he's just a human who
Okay.
has studied to be a martial arts assassin his whole
Gotcha.
life. Yeah,
Like
probably
me.
the most deadly human being on earth.
yeah, a lot like me. Like I
Yes,
get it.
much
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah.
We've
All right,
all
what's
been through
next?
it.
Anonymous says, watch Colmini get the IFTA Lifetime Award in Ireland. Very deserving.
Oh, good for him.
Very deserving, and the speech he made was lovely. He is a great actor, but also very humble. Definitely worth watching if you have time on YouTube. Also, what do you think of him as an actor?
I've always liked him as an actor. I mean, obviously, like a lot of people, my first exposure to Colmini was on Star Trek, where he was the transporter chief. So, and then he also went on to Deep Space Nine. I believe they moved his character, Chief O'Brien. They moved his character over there.
Was he not?
And then just recently, he was in that. Oh, what's the name of that UK show? That was kind of like a Guy Ritchie kind of feel to it. Oh, I'm forgetting the name of the show. Guys in the live chat.
Was it on Netflix?
I
Was
can't
it the-
remember. It might have
not
been
the
on
Gentleman,
Netflix.
no.
But and yeah, I've always liked him. Granted, I haven't seen a ton of his work, but I've always enjoyed him whenever he does pop up on something like it's Chief O'Brien.
Wasn't
It's
he also the father, Jennifer Garner? What was she? The spy thriller TV show.
Alias?
Alias. Wasn't he her father? in
No.
Alias?
That's the
Oh
guy.
yeah. Never mind.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay.
All right. What's next?
All right. Blake, hey John, there's some people online complaining that the helmet, oh god, of course, the helmet that Matt Damon is wearing in that Odyssey picture is not being historically accurate. Go figure. Since this is a fantasy story, and in fantasies you can sometimes bend the rules. What do you think? Yeah, the Odyssey probably didn't actually happen. So
I think it's I've been saying this my whole career. It's
This
an
makes me-
idiot. It's an idiotic thing to say.
oh my god.
Like, okay, I mean, it might be factual saying, oh, hey, listen, I got no problem saying, hey, just so you know, like for like history buffs and stuff like that, that's not accurate to the time. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But complaining about it as a point of a movie, that's not accurate. It's a fucking movie. They're not making an educational documentary. It's a movie. Their job is to make the most entertaining film they can.
Yeah.
So if that means you can do some things that are historically accurate and it meets those ends, great. If it means that you think visually this will look better on screen, then you make the choice to do what looks better visually on screen. I've always thought this is going all the way back to my days running the movie blog. I've always taken issue with this thing. It is not the director's responsibility to tell a historic, like Oppenheimer is one thing, right? Even in Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan's going to take some creative liberties, but he's telling a true historical thing. But that didn't mean, Oppenheimer never wore a brown tie. He always wore blue ties.
I see
Who gives a
Oppenheimer.
Who gives a shit? It's not the point.
He's too
It's a
short.
helmet. He found it in a cave somewhere.
I bet you they didn't even wear underwear. You want people walking around with their balls just hanging down?
Manscaped.
All right, Manscaped. All right, what's next?
Okay, Blake follows up. Hey, John. Oh, no, that was just double. Sometimes they double. Upaman says, to add to yesterday's topic, you yourself reported that Benedict Cumberbatch was quoted saying that he is not in Doomsday.
That's right,
Yeah,
yeah.
but will appear in Secret Wars. Also, Charlie Cox's trainer. Yeah, we talked about that.
We did bring that up.
Yeah, might have let slip. He's in there too.
Might have, but as we pointed out, like he might have, like he's not Marvel. He's not. For all we
Exactly.
know, what he meant was, and he just said Avengers. He probably doesn't even really know. So it could be factual, could not. That's why we did address it on yesterday's show.
Yeah.
And you're right. Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch the one time did say he wasn't going to be in. He wasn't going to be in Doomsday, but that he would be in Secret Wars. But we've heard that song and dance before, haven't we? So I it could mean something, it might not. We've had our Marvel actors say, "Oh, no, I'm not in that movie," and then they are in that movie. So that's why we still include him as a part of the discussion. All right, what's next?
All right. Curious Chris. Hey, Joa. I guess is that Portuguese possibly?
Maybe.
And crew. I remember you saying that Brave New World wasn't well directed. While I enjoyed the movie, something did kind of feel off about some scenes. Could you elaborate on what it means for a movie to be badly directed like Brave New World?
It's hard to quantify. It's more like a subjective feel, but I'll just give you some examples. First of all, it's one thing to have something on a written page. What a director's got to do is then once you're on set, once the actors are speaking lines, you got to be able to feel if this is actually flowing right. And then this often happens. Directors will you're not changing the script, but you're going in and you're altering dialogue to make sure it flows right. It sounds like something the characters say. And the dialogue delivery in this thing, not that the performances were bad, but the dialogue itself was so bad. Like none of it felt real or natural, or very little of it felt real and natural, even by comic book movie standards. It didn't feel, and that's a director's job. It's also a director's job to make sure these scenes feel like they're flowing properly. That happens a lot in the editing room, but the director's got to oversee that. It never felt like it flowed directly. The structure of the story just didn't work well. You never got me to care about this, it's a lot. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. Like there are movies that I watch that I don't particularly love the movie, but you go, man, that was directed well though. Like you could tell they took a script, a director took a script and made the absolute best out of it that they could. And then there's some that are like, I feel like they got a script in their hands and they didn't do much with it and they didn't elevate it. And that was my own personal subjective feel coming out of this movie. I just did not feel it was directed well. I mean, better than I could have done, but I'm not the measure of Hollywood standards, am I? And it just wasn't a well-directed movie. All right, what's next?
Mr. I says, just finished your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man just before your show. I think Marvel has another winner here. Have you finished the series yet?
Nope.
Thoughts? Yeah. By the way, wish me luck. Having surgery tomorrow. Will be immobile. Oh, for 2 months.
The being immobile thing. I mean, I had a friend once who was laid up as a result, not of an illness, but of an injury.
Yeah.
And who ended up being laid up for a couple of months. And it's like, I remember talking to him and he's like, yeah, the first couple of days is like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm relaxing. He said after that, you start to go stir crazy.
Yeah.
And that can be the hard. But anyway, best of luck with your surgery, man. I hope you have a quick recovery time, dude. All right, what's next?
Joe Adonis says, hi, John, Jonathan, and Ray. Paradise is a really good show, although it suffered the meet me at place at midnight.
Absolutely,
cliche
it did.
A few weeks ago, the latest one was great. 2 episodes left, and I'm already dreading it ending, as it is a limited series. I want more.
I'm really liking this show, but oh my God. The show's great. I love it. But you guys know what he's referring to, for those of you who watched, for any period of time. One of my big pet peeves, one of my absolute most hated movie tropes or TV show tropes is the meet me at death peak. That's what I call it, which is basically this. And we've seen this in 100 movies and TV shows. Character one calls the hero, I found the missing piece of evidence that reveals who the killer is. And the hero goes, really? Who's the killer? To which character number one goes, not over the phone. Meet me at certain death peak at midnight. And you as the viewer know that by the time the hero shows up to certain death peak to meet character one to find out who the killer was, that character is going to be dead. That character is good. And I love Paradise. I totally love it. But they ended one of the episodes with that exact thing. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe what I found out. What is it? What did you find out? Not over the phone. I promise I'll tell you everything tomorrow. What the fuck? Nobody would do that. No real person would do that. And of course, that guy ends up dead before he can tell the hero, right? I hate that trope. It's one of my most despised tropes in all of movies and TV show. And I love this show, but I really wish they didn't do that in Paradise.
The one I hate? It's just 3 words. Let's split up.
Yep, that's another bad one.
Just leave the movie now. Even if it's in the beginning, I just leave. I don't care if it's good or not. I'm like, no.
Yep.
No one splits up.
It's never a good idea. Never a good idea to split up. All right, what's next?
Let's see. Tawhid says, I already disagree with this preemptively, but since lower ad revenue is feared when actual movie start times are provided, why don't theaters have 2 tiers of tickets? A concession tier, people have to be present for the ads, like get early enough and force at the gate. And a higher price tier, people can come in anytime. That's like ad.
Let me tell you why this is stupid. I think it's absolutely idiotic the way some people are trying to defend the movie theater industry's practice of ripping off customers. You're going to say this isn't the same. It's absolutely the same. Let's say every time you walk into, you go to a Ben & Jerry's and you order an ice cream. You're paying for an ice cream cone. But every time you go into Ben & Jerry's and you order a double scoop of cookies and cream ice cream, one of the employees comes out from behind the counter, takes your wallet out of your pocket, and takes $1 out. You remember, you've already paid for the ice cream cone. You've paid for it. And they come out and steal money out of your wallet and put it back. Well, John, if Ben & Jerry's stops doing that, they'll be making less money. Therefore, it's totally okay that Ben & Jerry's does that. How stupid are you? That's the dumbest thing. It is the dumbest argument that any human being can make to say, oh no, it's perfectly fine that you paid for a movie and they told you what time the movie starts and you paid and bought the ticket to be there. Oh no, it's perfectly okay that they then steal 25 minutes to 35 minutes of your time by making you watch ads when they told you the movie was starting. Well, John, if they don't steal your time, they'll be making a little bit less money. That's their fucking problem. This whole thing to justify what the movie theater industry does to you, it's completely asinine. Anybody defending that, I'm sorry, it's a completely stupid opinion. I'm not saying you're stupid. I got some opinions that are pretty stupid opinions. Doesn't mean I'm stupid. Doesn't mean you're a stupid person, but you're holding a stupid opinion. Well, John, if they don't come out and steal $5 from your wallet, they'd be making less money. So it's okay that they steal from you.
And what happens if you run a
So
little
stupid.
What happens if you run a little late? They're going to be like, we got to upcharge you.
Yeah,
You
now
got
you
here
got
1
now you
minute
got to
late."
pay more. Because listen, the other thing, the movie theater, and the reason I get mad about it is because I love the movie theaters. I get most angry about the things that I care most about. I'm only mad because I care. And I want the movie industry the theaters to thrive, but not by stealing from its customers. When your basic business principle and your whole business plan is based on let's steal from the customer, that's not a good business plan. All right. And for some reason, we've come to just accept it in the movie theater industry. It's got to stop. Anyway.
They'll get more people going to movies if they have accurate time.
Yeah. If people know that, hey, if I show up to a movie, it's at 9:00 and it's an hour and 45-minute runtime, that means I'll be out of the theater at 10:45. I know when I'm going to be there. I know what I'm getting. I'm not being forced. And for anybody who says, well, people like the trailers. Again, Variety did a survey of a ass ton of movie theater goers, and only 1% said more than 20 minutes of trailers was unacceptable.
Yeah, they like a couple trailers.
Yeah, the vast majority was between 0 and 5 and 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the majority of those surveyed said that would be acceptable. Over 20 minutes, not acceptable.
And that 1% would get there at the right time to watch trailers. Because it'd be stated.
Yeah, anyway. All right, what's next?
Hot Rod Toss says, here's another take on movie start times. My wife was off one day and wanted to see Love and Thunder while our kid was in school. The advertised time would leave us with about 30 minutes to spare. We didn't go because we knew the ads would take it to make it go longer.
And again, I've said this 1,000 times. The trick is you don't actually know when the movie's going to start. The other excuse a lot of people give is, well, then John, just go 20 minutes late. Oh, wow, Einstein. Wow, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? Oh, yeah. Because they purposefully stagger when they do it to make you miss the beginning of a movie to go, well, you better show up on time next time. It has now happened to me multiple times because normally it starts 25 to 30 minutes late. That's when a movie starts. Normally 25 to 30 minutes after they say the movie's going to start. And it has now happened to me multiple times where I've walked into a theater just 20 minutes late only to find out that the movie started 10 minutes ago. And the movie theaters do that on purpose to manipulate you, to say, uh-oh, guess you better show up to watch all the trailers or you might miss some of the movie. They do it on purpose. It is absolute manipulation and it is absolute theft and it needs to stop. All right, what's next?
Mitchell with a two-parter. I know I tend to submit MCU questions, and I'm sorry. With the changes brought from when Iger took back over and the Kang reversal, I thought Doomsday and Secret Wars would both get delayed to correct the ship, like 27-28 or 28-29 year. But instead, they're powering through with 26 and 27. Do you think they want to get to Secret Wars as soon as they can so they can soft reboot? Maybe the MCU has gotten too big for cohesive storytelling and they need to wipe the slate clean?
No, I just don't think they felt the need to bump those dates. And you don't want to go too long in between these. I mean, these are the big marquee events for the MCU. The Avengers movies are the big marquee events. And by the time, like, when did Age of Ultron come out?
That was
Endgame. Endgame came out what? 2019? Is that when Endgame?
2019.
Yeah, 19.
So by the time like Doomsday comes out, it'll be 7 years in between Avengers movies. They don't want to make it any longer. And they have already felt like they had plenty of time. They had plenty of time to retool this. So no, I honestly don't think it has anything to do with that other stuff. I think it's just that they needed to change direction. There was still a lot of time between when they were planning this and when the movie was actually coming out. And they felt like they had more than enough time to get ready for it. All right, what's next?
Mitchell follows up an addendum to my last question. Do you think they are or will be actively trying to make the Disney Plus MCU content non-essential viewing to help with cohesive storytelling throughout the films? Like those who didn't watch
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Sorry, had to be catered to in Cap 4.
Yes.
I
Actually,
agree.
you know what? Marvel has already kind of confirmed that they're going to approach the Disney Plus stuff differently now from a philosophical point of view. It's still going to be canon. It's still going to be in the MCU, but they've already kind of indicated that they're not going to do things on Disney Plus now that have direct prerequisite tie-ins to the MCU. They understood that was a mistake because you didn't understand what was going on in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness if you didn't watch WandaVision. And they understand that's a mistake. So we're still going to make the Marvel Disney Plus shows. It's going to happen in the MCU, but it's not going to have stuff in it that in order to understand what's going on in the movies, you got to see this. They're going to make sure they don't do that anymore. All right, what's next?
Okay, Malkovich says, Malkovich. I know what you're trying to go for there.
That wasn't from Being John Malkovich.
Yes,
was
it was.
That was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought, all right. I thought that
Instead of
sounded like
Duncan
a bell.
Shane, the woman on the Malkovich on the piano was singing.
Was that Cameron
Malkovich.
Diaz in that? That was Cameron Diaz in that, right?
Might have been.
And John
John Cusack.
John Cusack. That's who it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Anonymous says, I'm so confused by the old Shogun director's comments, especially there wasn't too much said about mine. Did he mean in this show, did he expect Mariko to have a VHS collection of the 80s version stashed away somewhere? Because that raises further questions.
No, I think what he meant was he was mad. And listen, I'm not, this is what he said. He was mad and pissy that the media didn't talk more about his 1980s version as this one came out. It's like, you should be talking about my show. And you know what? If you watch the John Campea Show, almost every time we would talk about the new Shogun, we would absolutely reference the 80s version. Like, again, the 80s Shogun is one of the foundational viewing experiences I had as a kid that made me fall in love with visual medium entertainment, with movies and TV and stuff like that. I love that original miniseries.
He's watching the wrong show.
What's that?
He's watching the wrong things.
Yeah,
Do you
needs
think
to
he
be
knows
watching
about
the John
YouTube?
Campea Show. He would know. We
Does he
are
know
talking
YouTube?
about, but the fact that he was just so pissy that, wait a minute, why aren't you talking more about my show that came out 40 years ago? It's just, it's so pathetic. Anyway, all right, what's next?
All right, Ray's favorite, God of Nipples, says, John, what would you prefer in Doomsday? A good 1v1 fight between Thor and Doom, or between Professor Hulk, no savage professor, but a good fight? Good narrative purpose behind it, of course. Also, sorry about the bet yesterday. I didn't know.
Between Professor Hulk and who?
Yeah. Maybe Doom. I
Thor
guess.
or
All right.
Doom?
Yeah, because he doesn't say.
well-
Thor and Doom, or Thor. Yeah.
Or Doom and Hulk. Okay, I'm going to assume you meant Thor and Hulk.
Yeah.
Or a Doom and Hulk.
Yeah.
You already kind of did that. in Avengers Infinity War, right? You kind of started off the movie with a big fight between between the big bad guy, Thanos, and Hulk, and you kind of already treaded that ground. So I don't, yeah, I guess then again, we also saw Thor go one-on-one with the big heavy.
Mm-hmm.
They've nerfed Professor Hulk so much, I'll just go Thor and Doom. Although there are other characters I'd rather see do it, but I'll go Thor and Doom.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Will, hi guys. Second time writing in 2 days after returning from work trip in Norwich. Now back home. Thanks for keeping me company through all my travels for the last few years. Are you guys watching the new White Lotus, or have you seen the previous two? I only saw season 1 and then I bowed out.
I only watched a few episodes of season 1 and I bowed out. That is honestly one of the shows that everybody loves that I don't understand the appeal. I don't get the appeal, but that's fine. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I don't think other people should love it. And I know a lot of people that love White Lotus, love it, but it's not for me. So I didn't even watch season 2, and I personally have no plans to watch season 3. All right, what's next?
All right. Tawid Razak says, John, about Sam and Shield example. Here, force times time impulse is constant. Since vibranium absorbs energy, it will deform like a spring, increasing time and lowering force. Sam.
Nope,
heals.
it doesn't do that.
Also, force is spread over a large area. That's not that large of an area.
It's a very small area.
Less damage to Sam.
Nope, that's completely, you know what defeats that? Every other example in the MCU. When Steve has been hit by something very powerful and he blocks it with the shield, the vibranium shield doesn't dissipate that force. It still sends Cap flying like 300 yards.
Because it's an opposite force.
If it's enough force to send let's say 220 pound human man flying 3 football fields, that's enough force to squash you like a bowl of soup. So like you can say it does that, but the way the MCU has handled it completely contradicts that. The way when Sam, or sorry, I should say Steve, has blocked with that vibranium shield big things, when it's been powerful enough, it sends him to the moon.
The shield does not, it's not like where's my shot? It's not like Black Panther's suit where the vibranium then absorbs it and releases it. The shield only reflects the same, so it's an opposite reaction, and that's why Cap gets pushed back, and that's why it doesn't make sense that Falcon wouldn't get pushed back.
See, like
His
in the
wings can
example
absorb, but
in
not
the
the
example
shield.
of Black Panther, right?
Shield
Like
deflects.
vibranium, which is what the shield is made out of in the MCU. Vibranium can absorb kinetic energy, right? But it doesn't dissipate kinetic energy. So like even in Black Panther, when Black Panther would get hit hard enough, he'd go flying, but his suit absorbed that energy and he was then able to rechannel and use that energy, but it didn't dissipate the energy. It still sent him flying. We have seen in the MCU that Cap takes a shot on the shield and it sends him flying. So yes, it'll block the shot. Yes, you can even make some argument that maybe even tempers the result a little bit, but we have seen it in the MCU that blocking something with that shield does not take away the force that then comes through and sends him flying. If in this picture, if a Red Hulk, now granted, Red Hulk, bring up my screen here. Red Hulk is not the same strength as Green Hulk. Okay, I understand, but we still saw in the movie how strong he is. A Hulk punch coming down on that, and you could have the strongest shield in the world, but that much force coming down on you, the fist would hit the shield and then crumple Sam's body into a puddle as the shield would lay on top of the Sam soup,
Unharmed.
completely unharmed. That's what they have done in the MCU. That is what that's the foundation they laid. That's the precedent they've laid.
This is
Because look, if what you're saying is a force cannot move that shield, that means if the shield, you threw it up in the air and it was just hovered in space,
Then it wouldn't move when
and
it
then
was
it
hit.
wouldn't move when you hit it. It would still move, but it would deflect an opposite reaction of your force.
And all that force is coming down on Sam's body.
This is
a
the nerdiest
totally
debate
human
I've
body.
ever heard.
And why did Superman fly?
All right, what's next?
That's it.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget to come on back again tomorrow and join me, Rob, and Chris again. We're looking forward to it. I want to thank the guys in the room with me, Ray Ora,
See you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan
See you
Voico.
guys.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, Fisto Ram. Ram Fist? One of the two.